Hi, I am Rachel Morgan, a sales coach who teaches you how to increase your foot traffic and the lifetime value of your clients in order to make more sales. Today, I have Joseph Rubelli with me to talk about how to increase your sales using video, which is a really hot topic. If you're not familiar with who Joseph is, he's a communication strategist, video, and marketing expert. His experience includes a background in sales, marketing, and business across Europe and EMEA. He uses his combined experience in corporate with a passion for storytelling and communication with his clients. He founded his own digital agency, Rubelli Digital, in 2020 to focus on helping coaches, creators, and entrepreneurs transform their business into strong brands leveraging social media and PR. So that means I'm super excited to bring him on to chat about all things video and to pick his brain. I know it's a really hot topic, one that we all know we need to be doing and can get better at. So once he requests to join, we'll get him on here. And for everyone that is joining with us, please share where you're from. We would love to know, and maybe we have something in common. And don't be afraid to ask questions. All right. So hopefully everyone is well.
Hello, how are you?
Hello. It worked. Yay. I am so good. Hello,
Hello.
everyone. I'm so
Thank you
excited
for
to have you
having me.
here. Video is such a
Yeah,
hot topic, isn't it?
it's a very
Oh,
good
my
topic, and I'm
pleasure.
so excited because, we sort of talked about it together on our latest reel yesterday. It was really fun. And today it is the opportunity to connect the value, and I've been following you for so long, so it's really cool. So, yeah.
Oh, thank you. Same to you as well. Hello. Hello to everyone. Well, for those who don't know who you are, or maybe they've been following you for a while but don't
Yeah,
know,
so I
where are you
am
from?
originally from Italy, but I lived in the UK for 10 years, and now I live in America. I live in New York City. So I come from, as you said, before I joined, you mentioned I work in sales and marketing. I work in the beauty industry. Then in 2018, I combined my passion for photography and marketing, and I opened an Instagram account where originally it was all about travel. And then I thought, you know what, we need to sort of include more value here. It's not only about the travel, and Instagram was having such a big shift from pictures to stories and then of course videos. And I started talking about social media, and then I niched down to video marketing because I realized that video was the biggest pain point for every business owners and creator in the digital space. And that's how I niche down on Instagram, and behind the scene I started my own agency where we do creative marketing and content marketing. And my vision is to help each business owner tuning in and coming across to my content to replace stress with strategy. So I always share life hacks and tricks on how can you make your life easier with video in a very actionable way.
I love that. And I really feel like video does make life easier because you just get to show up on camera, say what you need to say. People get to hear how you talk about it, right? It's so much easier than sitting there having to write everything out. And I don't know about you, but I'm just so much
Yeah,
better with talking. Like I think things get communicated more
it's
effectively when we
interesting
show up and we
because
talk,
I
right?
manage several accounts for my clients, but at the same time, for my business, I manage my own account. And then, I am also in another business
Mm.
project, which is called Digital Bosses, which is another consulting agency. And we have a different Instagram for that. And what we've been doing, we've been talking on meetings, etc., and we decided to take a different approach on that account just for the time consuming side of things. So I will personally, a year ago I will say, oh, we need to do set amount of carousels, we need to do, because that's going to bring the authority in, that's going to bring the people tuning in looking for values. Now we use that account as a test, and we share pretty much only video content, and we go live and then we share reels. And we noticed that, first of all, the growth of the account is so much faster, but also the impact and the connection with the community is so much better because people are really connect with the person, and we do it in a very digestible way. So I think one of the biggest concerns with video is that people think they need to be on camera for a long time. It only is very often a matter of 15 seconds in your story, and it makes a difference. And you can save that and share it as a reel. So for someone out there, having marketing as an extra task out of the million hats that business owners wear every day, I think it's a very good, actionable way to still show up as yourself, but also make it very suitable for your schedule as well.
I love that you are testing out an account to see what actually works. And it's kind of crazy to hear what you just had to say. And, you know, that actually makes me think like, there's so many different types of video, right? There's short form, there's long form, there's reels,
Very
there's
confusing as well. I
TikToks, right?
think
There's
we can sort of
lives.
clarify each one of them for
Right.
anyone tuning in if they need clarity. But I think that would be useful because especially with the updates and everything that is happening. I mean, Instagram is changing every day, and the reason why I'm starting to test in a different account is because my account is very old, so I do not get a lot of the updates, and I do see are like the same type of content in two different accounts will perform very differently. Like we do this thing, me and my business partner, we did this test. We have this video, which is a video that she recorded. I changed the editing. We posted it on the Digital Bosses account, and it had a really good performance and a really good performance in terms of ranking, in terms of commenting. Then we did it on my account. It tanked, and then he did it on her account, and it tanked. And we all have three different accounts, and they are very. My one is the oldest one. Then she had it for like the last 3 years, and the new account is 2 months old. So it's really interesting how it's changing, and they prioritize the newer profiles as well. So with all the different type of videos,
Interesting.
I think it's really confusing when you're planning your social media strategy and you say, okay, great, I need to use social media. I'm a small business. I am a business owner. I need to take advantage of this. It is free. It allows me to market myself in a very easy way because I can test different type of water. But how do I do it with all this type of content and all these type of videos that you can do? And I think, the easiest way for someone starting out with video is probably start with stories and then share a little mini training on stories, then say that training and stitch it together and post it into a reel. That reel can be then repurposed on TikTok. And then you can jump on story, for example, and ask questions about the same topic that you covered on your training that you did and on your reel, and see if there is more to be covered. And that's where you jump on live and you answer to those questions. That's a very easy strategy. It's 3 things, but it's the same topic, and you have 3 pieces of content. Wow. That's a week, right, of content. So it's really easy to do.
Yeah. What a genius little repurpose hack to show up on your stories and do a mini training, save it, use it as a reel, and then you can reshare that to your stories later and ask questions. And then you could, like, even what we're doing now, I could see you going live to talk about it more and answer questions in real time as well. So that is some repurposing hack right there.
And
I love it.
For example, with you, me and Rachel connected a few months back. We did a few collaborations together, even on my other account. And, we work really well together. So I thought, why don't we give a very clear strategy to the audience, to the community in a way that is digestible. And the way we did that, we actually plan a collaboration across the week. And I like to do that to make your content planning easier. So if you're tuning in right now, you're looking to kind of make your content strategy really actionable for yourself. Just give yourself a theme of the week. You're going to be talking about something for a week, but you're going to use that in different ways. For example, this week for my page is sales, right? So we're talking about sales. Rachel is the guest. So she did a reel with me last week. Yesterday. We moved it into into a collaboration. Then we jump live and we talk about sales on video. And then there's going to be another point on Thursday. It's a social selling starter pack that she shared on my page, which basically wraps up a lot of the points that we're covering across the 2 videos, but in a written way. So if you want to save it, if you want to read it to your own turn, if you want to digest it in a different way, it's available for you. So that's a very good strategy if you are looking to still be consistent on social media, but in a way that doesn't take you a lot of time. Pick a word of the week, pick a theme, and you create 3 pieces of content around that theme. So for example, if the theme is community, you can do a reel where you share 3 hacks on how to build a community on social media. Then you go on a carousel, you say, you can go, 3 reasons why community is important on social media. And then you jump on live and you can say, this is a community building strategy for your Instagram. These are 3 topics around the same thing, but it's literally a different way to digest it.
Yep. Yeah, I know. I love that. And I do want to say, first of all, like for anyone that is feeling like, okay, well, how do I incorporate video? I'm still really nervous. Like I'm really good at creating carousels and static posts. And like, I can totally come up with a theme, Joseph, like I hear you, but I'm still hung up on video. And how is it going to help me? You know, I will tell you, having worked in sales for a decade, one of the most important things is body language. And now when I say body language, what that refers to is your eye contact and your posture and your appearance and the way that you say things, your tone of voice, like all these things, right? But when you're looking at a carousel, you miss a lot of that. Like, sure, you can see personality, right, through your writing, but not really, right? A little bit, but not really. And so video is such an excellent way to demonstrate that and to connect with people and to hear how passionate people get and to hear how they enunciate things and to hear them elaborate, right? And I don't know about you, but I almost never hire someone if I don't actually feel like I know them and I'm not seeing them and hearing them and
you touched
in
on
that
such
way.
a key point there, because I am the same, and I do struggle sometimes when I have people in the community. They are so supportive and I see a lot of content from them, but I never see the faces of these people. I don't know who is behind the screen. And that kind of gives me a little bit of anxiety because I don't know who I'm speaking to. And it becomes really impersonal. I don't really know if you're a girl, if you're a man, if you are, you know, if you're young, if you're old. Not that it does matter, but it's really nice to associate a face to the profile, which is why I really do love video messages. Whenever someone message me and I don't have time to type, I am terrible at typing and walking. I walk into things, so I realize that it's very dangerous for my own health and safety. So I prefer to film myself and send you a video if you message me on a DM, because I know I'm not going to walk into anything. So if I'm on the street or something, it's a very good way. Also, you can really connect with your audience in the best way, especially if you're looking to sell on social. I think it's really important to show up. You know, there is a lot of talking about, oh, you need to share value, you need to share value, you need to share value. I do believe, and this is something I shared before, it's a little shift. You are building value to then educate your audience to act on the offer that you want to sell. If you're only sharing value without actually showing up to what you're selling and actually talk about it, you are just one step before Google for your audience. So people will come to your page because they will be like, oh, actually, this is easy. I don't need to Google it because this person is giving it for free. And that's where you don't have the opportunity to actually take action and say, okay, I can sell you this information. Because, you know, there's a lot of, I'm going to bring a very simple example, which I think would be really useful for anyone listening at this stage right now where they're creating content for value. So the spin that you can have when you create valuable content is that you share so much of that then when it comes to the selling offer, you don't know what to sell anymore because you already shared that. So that's why you need to shift as, okay, am I building value to something bigger, or am I sharing value for something that I need to see if the audience is interested? For example, if you are going into a discovery call, and you are, like, for example, with me, you know, for Rebellion Digital and Digital Bosses, we do have a discovery call. I am not a huge fan of putting prices on the website necessarily, because I do different services and sometimes it's very tailored. You know, sometimes I need to think about what it needs to be done for your specific case. It's a very bespoke way of working for me. So what I realize very often from a consumer perspective, when I was going to talk to a coach or whatever, I would go on a discovery call and he will just say to me whatever it was already on the Instagram account. I was like, okay, great. I lost 30 minutes out of my day for something I could just save as a reel and talk about it. So that's like, if you're jumping on a discovery call with somebody, I believe you need to share on the spot. Like, for example, if you have a discovery call with me, most of the time I will give you a strategy on the spot in the next 30 minutes. The reason why I do that is because you can save that Zoom call and that's your strategy if you have no money to invest. But I know the next time you'll come back to me because I already gave you value without you even pay me for it. So that's the way I work. It doesn't have to be everybody, but what I'm saying, it's very, you want to package your information in a very actionable way on your social, and then you want to sell the solution because people pay for solutions, not for information.
Right, right. I think, this kind of goes away from video
Yes, true.
a little bit, but I do want to say what you just said was really important. And I think a lot of times we want to provide value, and selling is serving, right? And so what ends up happening is we come up with content that gives people the answer. Like literally, like, here, if you're doing this on your own, here's what you need to do, instead of providing them a reason to want to actually buy from you and making it enticing enough. Like, I see that so much in the online space. It's like, well, you gave me the answer, you told me the strategy, you told me what resources to use. What more are you going to provide me? And I also think a really important thing that you just brought up too, especially for video, if we're talking about video, if you hear a common objection, show up on your stories and address it and talk about it. Because just because you've heard about it from the one person who reached out to talk to you doesn't mean that other people in your community aren't already thinking the same thing. And you can kind of address it head on before it happens. That's an excellent sales skill right there too, is that's how you kind of provide value throughout the sales process, is addressing their concerns as you're talking to them in different ways, so that by the time you get to the end and you ask for the sale, you've already answered it and you don't have that objection at the end, right? And you only know that through practice and experience and from hearing things. But the same can be said online, like showing up on video on your stories, or creating a reel, or doing a collaboration and bringing some information, right? And, I'm such a talker. For me, I'm like, let's just talk it out. I'll just address it now. You can hear how I talk about it, hear how I think about it. And, you would think I'm really good with words, but for me personally, like, it's really hard to sit there and type everything out and try and get my point across and as few as words as possible.
It's true. And
so video can be.
And I was just thinking,
go ahead.
Also, something that I like to do, because the way I like to divide my social media strategy is based on what season of business you are at. You can be on the visibility moment where you want to get as many eyeballs as possible on your content, so you share more content. You probably post every day for 2 months and see to grow your community, and that's great. Then you go into engagement and you want to kind of retain these people and make them stay with something really interesting, and you connect with them. Then you go into lead generation, where you take them off the platform to your email list, or maybe to your Telegram group, or whatever it is. And then you're going to sales. And on the sales strategy, so what I usually do with clients, I help them to create content for each season of business. And that's very interesting because the video strategy changes alongside everything. So for example, if you're starting out with video, you probably want to think about the biggest misconception about your industry. And you want to create a series around that. It can be a 9-part series. It can be a 5-part series. It can be a 10 seconds video where you're pointing on the screen, you're using a trending audio. If that's what makes you feel comfortable to begin with, this is already a step forward towards, the goal of talking on camera. And if you're looking back, you already had a reel on your grid that yesterday you didn't have. So that's a very good way of doing it. And, you can do a series and people come back to part 2 or part 3, and you are not only delivering information that are useful to the industry you're looking to target, but at the same time, you're educating your audience to familiarize with yourself. So people get familiar with you and they get used to you and they get comfortable around you to ask you a question about what you're trying to sell. And that's where you can, make the right videos. For example, when I am on sales mode, I will do a series with all the objection about that offer, all the objection that I know, as you said before, that will be address all the questions I know they're going to ask me. Is it refund policy? Do I get my money back? How long do I get the result for? You can do a video for each one of them and kind of make it into a story. And that's your strategy for your whole sales period. It can be a month, it can be 2, it can be whatever you prefer it is. Depends on what you're selling. And that's a very good idea to incorporate. That's how you use social media to create a conversation. Because there was Chris, which is another creator I collaborated last week with, and he did an incredible post about shifting campaign to conversation, because the old marketing way to call Every social media
Mm,
campaign, every post is a campaign. What is that? Social media is more like you want people to join the conversation about what you're selling. And the conversation is what brings the question, and you then can deliver the answer, you can structure your offer. And it makes so much sense. So you want to create a content that creates that conversation. And it can be in many different ways. For example, I love to take analogy for something that is trending in the pop culture and kind of make it like, for example, I don't know, we have the Johnny Depp trial, right? You can say, okay, well, how about if Johnny Depp, I don't know,
right.
like for example, my audience love marketing and branding strategy. I was like, okay, how much the trial is affecting Johnny Depp brand? That's a case study. When you do this type of content,
Yeah.
you become an authority in your niche because you take in something that is popular and you tailor it and sanitize it to your specific audience. And that's where people can trust you because exactly this person knows what they're talking about. You can do this also, for example, you can analyze the sales strategy of McDonald's, the sales strategy of Starbucks, the sales strategy of Sephora, and by doing that,
Right.
it's a very cool way. You take something that people know, but then you give them your input, but people will listen to you because you're taking something that people already are familiar with, but they're not familiar with you yet. That's what the connection is.
Yes. Oh my gosh. So I agree. I think it's really important to actually study other businesses, large businesses, right? Like Starbucks, Sephora, McDonald's, because you're going to learn something. You can take something into it. I know personally, one of my favorites, it's probably the Seattle in me,
Yes.
is Nordstrom. I think they do an excellent job with their customer service and their sales because they're very customer centric and you can learn a lot from that, especially sales. But I just have to say, for those that are tuning in, first of all, if you have any questions, make sure to put them down below. We'll make sure to answer them for you. And you've already shared 4 amazing tips. So I just want to like recap that really fast because I feel like they're going to get lost. So number 1, oh my gosh, like I'm
Don't
totally
worry.
blanking on what they were. It was make sure to you can show up on your stories and do a mini training, save it, repurpose it as a reel, and then reshare it later at the end of the week and ask and open it up for questions. I think that's an excellent way to utilize video to your advantage to help you sell. Number 2 was to have a theme of the week. So maybe your theme of the week, like for you, is sales. And so this entire week, every piece of content you're putting out has to do with sales. So that helps you with what to make your topic if you're going on a mini training or doing a reel or doing something like that. And then you said number 3 is to handle objections in your story. So talk about things that other people are asking you about to address them head on and like return policy and like literally create a video around it and then have it. And you could save it
Yeah,
to your highlights, I
definitely.
would
Yeah,
say too, right? And then people can go back to have like here's your objections or common questions
yeah,
or something like
exactly.
that, right? And then, I mean, your fourth one kind of blended with that too is like really creating content that people want to hear, that you're
Yeah, it's about,
yeah. I feel like
yeah,
it
it's
kind of
sort of
blended with the
like
third one
it
a little
wraps
bit.
up into like my motto is always like, I always get this question on my DMs. It's like, okay, what are your tips to creating content consistently? And my tip is like create a content you would like to see, even in a different industry. Something that in a different industry you consume as a user, but you haven't seen in your industry yet.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were discussing about taking a brand that is really famous and analyze it. For example, if you are in branding and you can do a brand analysis. If you are in sales, you can do a sales analysis. If you are in marketing and social media, you can analyze the social media strategy of that particular company. That helps you to become an authority in your industry because you're taking something that people know, but you sanitize it to what you need.
Right. Yep. Okay. Yes. Yes. I love that you said sanitize too. That stood out to me before too. It's a beautiful way of putting it. And, just like yesterday when we made our
Yeah.
reel too, we tried to keep it really simple and say, here's this big concept, but we're going to break it down really simple and we're going to talk
Yeah,
about it
and
more later too.
it's really important. One of the
So,
biggest, for example, problem with my clients when I do coaching for videos is how can I put all these information in a 20 seconds reel without sounding like a professor? Like, what's the trick? And I always say, well,
yeah, right.
it's the same thing of, when you have your story, when you want to connect your story to your offer, but you don't have to connect your whole story to your offer. There might be something in your story, in your career, that matters to your audience right now, to what they need. And that's the piece of story you need to connect. It doesn't have to be like, once upon a time, I was born in Nebraska. It doesn't matter, you know? It's just, you know, you can take an example. For example, when it comes to handling objection, you can take an example of how did you handle an objection in the past in your comfort job. People love that because they might relate to it, because they might be in that position right now, and that's how you do it. And with the content, I would say a lot of times as creators, we only take inspiration from social media. I tend to never create something I see online. That's why I'm terrible with trends. Like, people say, which song is trending? I say, I have no idea. I'm not the right account for you. You need to go to somebody else. Because I have my own way of creating content.
Right.
And it's just I look at ads, or I look at like TV series or something that I am interested in, or something that I am studying. For example, yesterday I read an article on the New York Times about beauty. I come from the beauty industry. So there was a big shift from makeup to skincare after the pandemic. I thought that was interesting. So I did a reel about it today, and I linked it to the Kardashians because she's coming out with a new skincare brand. So I linked it together, and I was like, that's interesting to me, because that's something that is trending. It's something that is changing, and is also product-based business, which part of my audience is. So that could be interesting for who is watching. So it's always like that, keeping it extremely simple on the delivery of the video, and maybe put a little bit more details on the caption.
That's a good point, is to keep it simple in the video, grab attention, right? And then put more information in the caption if people want to know more. And I actually was just going to ask you, because the 253 Vibe said, good point. I recently am trying to shorten a 60-second video to 15 seconds. And I actually feel like we all are like that. Like, I call this like word vomiting. Like, when I'm like sitting, I have got 2 different meanings for word vomiting in sales and word vomiting with writing. But literally, like, you sit down and it all comes out, and then you're like, oh shoot, I got to make this really short. And like, reels above 15 seconds to me really don't perform well. Like, I think it needs to be like 7 seconds, really, right? So how do you take this massive thing that's like a minute long and shorten it?
Yeah, and this goes back to the strategy of repurposing your message, right? You can, if you have like the way I create content, let's go to the actual action point of creating the content itself. Sometimes I have a big topic that I want to talk about, but it's a lot of things to say. So I will write it all down, and then I will kind of put it, I will make it snackable. I will divide it into bites. I did a post about making your content snackable. And it's about, you want to think about your page like, like having crisps. You just have chips, you eat it, it's snackable. You want to make it easy, digestible. And for me, I like to do that by, okay, great. We're going to talk about 5 things, right? 5 things means 5 main parts of this topic. Okay, we're going to put the title on it, and then we're going to put 1 tagline for each one of these 5 things. The big information, you keep it for a carousel later on the week. But you gave the topic on Reels already, you give the title, you give the little tagline, and you test the water. You see how the engagement goes on that topic. If you get a good engagement, it's good. I actually don't look at the views, because the only person that cares about the views is yourself. Look at the comments. So it's like, you look at the comments, you see what people say. Oh, this is very interesting. Yes. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's very valuable. This is all feedback. And for me, it's ding, ding, ding. It's tick, tick, tick. It's interesting. People are interested. Okay, great. How about if we can continue this conversation. And again, going back to the conversation, we continue this conversation on stories. Maybe you share a little bit of that content on story, or you keep it on a carousel. If you want to test the whole content, something I did with one of my clients, we took the whole blog. She did a very long blog. We sanitized it, put it into Reels with the titles. Then we put a little bit of information in the caption. We continue the conversation on the story with the stickers. So we tested how interesting was that part. Then we realized that all that content was interesting for the audience. So we copy and pasted it into a carousel so people could save it.
Oh my gosh, coming in with all the hot like strategies. This is like the fifth one now, is like test it and recognize your content is there to test. And there are different ways to attack things. And I love that you brought it to the stories to expand. I mean, that's a great way to do a mini training. So once you do, maybe you don't start with a mini training, you start with a reel, and then you bring it to your stories and you like have a further conversation about it, and then you can use that to create more content at the end of the week, like your carousel or another reel or a live or something like that. I think what you said is really important too, is it's what people are saying is more important than the views on it, and that's market research.
Like
really,
I do videos that I know will not perform on views. I do them in purpose because these videos are not to be discovered. These are video to be discussed. It's very different. So for me, I will pick a topic that I think is interesting for the time and place where we are, the type of conversation I'm having with the audience on the DMs. And I know those type of videos, I am aiming to have 200 comments on it. So that's my aiming. Like, okay, great. If I make 200 comments on this video and we talk about it and 200 people comments on it, that's my, like, okay, great. I am aiming to get this conversation going. The reason why I'm doing that is because I just want to see where this conversation is going. And the reason why you can do this, and there is a lot of, I've been a social media manager for a long time, and creating content for yourself often is so much more difficult than creating content for clients. But a lot of social media managers do not understand the importance of concise. Social media needs to be concise, and a lot of information are always way too long. I see captions and I said, this should have been an ebook. Like a lot of times there is so much to say, but it doesn't have to say all at once. Doesn't have to be said all at once. So as social media manager, it's really important, first of all, for your own mental health, to make your own content extremely actionable, which is why I keep dropping strategies on this live one after the other to make it super actionable for you. So I gave you, like, for example, I said, okay, it's a blog. Okay, so that means you're writing a whole piece of content at once, and then you then take the titles and you do a video with it, so you don't need to create anything else. And then you take that content and you post it into stories. That's, for me, the amount of work for you, it's writing the blog. The rest is copy and pasting. So it's extremely actionable.
I agree. Extremely. Now, Aimed Marketing said, does CEO come into effect in any way? Do you mean like in your video, in your caption? That would be my question.
Come into effect in any way? Yes, it does. I think so. Depends on, so I'm going to bring two examples. If it's on writing content, you want to make sure you use the keywords related to your industry. So it depends what you're talking about. And that becomes, there is a specific way of doing, but that's going off topic. So we're probably going to have to do a video about like a live about that. But there is a specific way to write the content if you're looking to do a blog, for example. There is a specific way to make it rank. And, hands forward, I'm not a SEO person. I find it really confusing, but I do know how content works. So that is the thing. Then for videos, it would be, the SEO works well on, especially on YouTube. You want to probably replicate the same words that you're using on the video so that the algorithm is reading it in the right way. So that's my advice for that. So my trick, if you're having bullet points for your videos, copy and paste the bullet points on the caption and give more context to it so that you have that ready. And yesterday, if you go back to the collaboration that me and Rachel did on Reels, if you look at the caption, this is exactly what we did. So you can check it out.
Yes. I do want to say one thing really quickly about videos to shorten them and to get attention span and to help you sell. And then we have a question, and then I want to end it with one more little thing for you to address, if that's okay. So first of all, I would say that when it comes to video, so often, you just have to get started, right? And I think we often jump on a video and we're like, hey, I just wanted to jump on and talk about this topic today to all of you. But I really want to encourage you to think about this differently. We don't care that you just wanted to jump on. Just jump on and get right to the point. Like, hey, today I'm teaching you about this. Here's what you need to know. Like, get right to it. And then I would really encourage you to use the words like you instead of all of you, right? Because frankly, your whole community is not
And
sitting
we're
in
not
front of you
waiting for your
watching your
video,
video.
Lydia.
It's one person. Right. You're not public speaking in the sense of like you're at an event and you're talking to everyone. You want people to feel seen and heard. And so it's better to start it with, hey, I know you have been feeling this way, because they're going to feel spoken to on a personal level, right? And that's an excellent way to kind of cut down your video too, so you don't have all this like fluff in it. Because if you notice, like today with my live, I didn't jump on and say, hey, I'm Rachel, we're waiting for Joseph, we're just gonna wait for a few more people to come on before I get into it, and then like radio silence. Like I was like in it, I'm like, here's what we're talking about, here's who Joseph is. I kept the conversation going, right, to keep people interested in listening. Because a lot of lives are rewatched later, and we don't want to sit there and have to fast forward through things. Like we want information fast.
Yeah.
And that's the power of video, is we can deliver things fast. So that would be my hot tip for you. And then I'm going to bring up the question really quickly that someone asked us. And then I have one more little question for you that I love. Like, I feel like people kind of are thinking when it comes to video. But our question from Healthy Air at Home was, can you speak more about blogging? And before I send you off, I just want to say that to me is a kind of a different topic in general, because we're here to talk about video. But maybe you have one quick little sentence or two you could add
was
about
that blogging or blogging? Right.
Yes, blogging. So, here, I just clicked it. So can you speak more about blogging?
Blogging, it's a very, like, for example, if we are linking it, okay, blogging, okay, we're gonna be, sorry, it's because I have construction going on and I couldn't hear. So blogging is interesting if you are using it as, so the way I see it is this. I think blogging shifted from value-driven content to authority-building content, and here's why. Blogging was the very first form of free social media before Instagram and etc. I think now for a company, you can use blogging as a way to really showcase what you're talking about in a more specific way. For example, you can do the case studies that I was talking about, like the analogy with different companies that are bigger, is you can actually do a case study on a blog and put it into your website. So you do 3 to 5 different ones about your industry. So when people come to your website and they know about your service, that's extra content that they can read, and that's specific to what you're selling. So that's very authority building as well. So that's a very good way, because you can say, oh, this person knows what's happening in the industry. They know what they're talking about. They know what's in there for me. And that's also very good. And that's how I will use blog. And then that content, you can see how it goes. And maybe you can turn it into a reel, but I will keep that separate. I will keep it for authority building. I will not confuse it with social media.
Yeah, I think that's well said. And there's a lot of power behind blogging and SEO and all that. But that is like a completely different topic that I know that we could go more into another day. So, if you have more questions about that, I really encourage you, especially to reach out to Joseph, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure he'd be happy to chat with you about it in the DMs, or maybe any other way.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Video,
send a video
right?
message.
So, yes. Now, I just want to kind of play not devil's advocate. What am I trying to say? But you'll understand. So I think that, okay, it's like, okay, Joseph, great. You gave us these amazing strategies. You've given us 6 things to think about. I want to go create video. I'm motivated, but this is like a 2-part question. So first of all, I'm really scared because how do I go viral with my video? I just want people to see it and get eyes on it. And then there's also this side, how do I start showing up? I haven't been doing it. I'm really afraid to do it. I have no experience. I don't like how I look. I don't like how I sound. So what would you tell someone that's kind of maybe wanting to get started with their video strategy to use it to sell, that is maybe a little afraid to show up?
That's a very good question, because I think a lot of the time, all the roadblocks that we have in our brain is for the perception that people might have about the way we look on video. But if you do a little shift, which is about, you are not the message, you are the messenger, people come for the message. Once you do that little shift in your head, you're going to find so much more easy to show up, because you're going to take off that pressure on yourself. People are not going to care the way you look in your hair. They're not going to, it's like when people start the video apologizing, oh, sorry, I look like a mess. I didn't notice. You told me, now I'm looking at it. You know, you
But
know,
no.
it's one of
Yep.
those things. It's a really little shift, but it makes a difference if you think about, I'm only here to deliver a message. I am not the messenger. I am only the messenger. I'm not the message. So it's a very, very easy thing, but it will help you a lot. If you are not experienced with video, I will say keep it extremely simple. Do not buy expensive lights. You don't need them. You do not buy expensive camera. You don't need them. You only need a phone. You need a couple of points to cover, and that's it. If you don't want to talk on video, use the very cool music and point into text bubble and say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do 2 reels like that this month. And if next month I am able to pull at least the hook when I speak on camera, that's already a success. It's a step forward, not backwards. And then slowly but surely, the process is interesting. And also, let me tell you, people will relate to you more if you show up like that, because you can also be, this is a very
Yep.
cool strategy that I always say to people. If you're testing something out on Instagram that you never tried before, don't show up as an expert. Show up as a learner. Learn with me video. Like you can say, oh, you see a lot of carousel from me, but here's I am on video. I never do videos. So let's learn together. Let me share with you 3 tips for selling. 1, 2, 3, let's do it. You can say, you can create a series, learn with me video sales, for example. You do a series of video where you're learning to be on camera. So every little mistake will be more acceptable because you're learning, and people are learning with you. So they will come with you and they will relate to that.
Yes, I agree. I would say you're right. Like, you don't need fancy lighting. Like, yes, it does help. There's a reason people buy it. But like right now, like I'm sitting next to a window, and that's an excellent way to just get some natural daylight on you. The more lit up you are, I think the easier it is to see you too. And then, and I think you're right. Stories is probably what I would say is the easiest way to show up. It lasts for 24 hours or less if you delete it. A reel is kind of there forever, right? Technically, because it's like a post unless you delete it. So I think just showing up on stories, and you can just say, yeah, I'm going to tell you about my day. Like, come, you're in New York City. You can be like, come on a journey with me through New York City. Let me show you what a day in the life is like. Or you can get on there and educate about a topic, because we all know what we're talking about. And so this gives us the platform to be like, here's 3 tips. Start with maybe 3 tips. That would be an excellent thing to jump into.
Where you don't feel comfortable to speak on camera, you can actually just put your camera there, film yourself while you're working, and then jump on a time lapse and then voice over it. And that's a very good way. I love this type of video. I love bloggings on my story. I do a lot of blogging because I don't like to film everything and share at the right time every day. Like I don't film and share. I film, edit, and share, because that's where I can live the moment. I don't live to share the moment. You know what I mean? So it's really good because, for example, I do not show up on social media on the weekends. I never do. I am off the weekends. I never use it, but I do a little vlog that is like a little wrap up of the weekend, so people feel included. And it's like, okay, what Joseph didn't really show up on stories this week. What did he do? Let me see. And people love those things. First of all, because I keep a very travel driven, so it's really about where I go. Like if I'm going for a walk, this is where I'm going. And then I voice over it, and it's really simple. You can voice over it. It's really easy. And you save it. It's like a minute video, and it's literally, it takes me about 3 seconds when I'm filming. I do a little video around, save it, and then I stitch them all together. Really actionable, again, really simple.
That's like your eighth strategy. Oh my gosh. Like, I'm like, it just like proves that there's just no one way, right? And it's okay to try different things. And it's, I will say, I have a Facebook group, and I was showing up on video more there in 2019. And COVID really gave me the opportunity, like, to connect with people and show up and to talk about things. And, if you're selling a product, you can talk about show people how to use it, right? Like, literally put it on yourself, right? Like, especially if it's skincare or something. And if you're selling a service, take people through how you go through it. Just like film yourself doing it. You can do a time lapse. Like, it really does get easier. It really, really does. And never pay attention to how you look or how you sound. Just focus on what you're providing people and how you're serving them. Like, you know, right now in this live, like, I'm not paying attention to how many people are currently on here and panicked, like, oh my gosh, there's, you know, X many people listening. We're focused on the conversation and how we can help people. And, you know, I don't try and stare at myself or anything like that either. That trips you up. So, you know, it does get easier over time the more that you do it. It's hard the first couple times. It's gonna be awkward. Like, let's be honest, it's always awkward the first couple times, but you learn every time you do it, and you become a better speaker.
And I remember the very first reel, I was on a FaceTime and I was multitasking with my phone, and I didn't realize there was reels on Instagram. I had no idea what the hell they were. So I was filming it. You can see me like this, looking at the screen, and I'm trying to say, oh, why there is a green screen? And then basically I saved it. I was like, why did I save this? I'm not going to use it, am I? It's just not going to be. And I did. I actually did. I did use it. And it was my very first reel. It got like 2,000 views. And I was like, okay, that's it. But then that's what I realized. That was a very big power lesson to me, because I shared that video without any pressure on the outcome. I was like, it goes as it goes. And it was the very first type of content after a month off social media. So I was like, that's where people need help with. I'm going to create a strategy around video, because that's where people want to be now. And I did it when Reels started. So it was August 2020. I completely niched down to video. And I am so happy I did it, because I've been able to create more impact with that type of content in the last 3 years that in the last 5 years that I've been on social. So it's really good.
Yep. Yeah. You know, and like I just said too, and I think you can agree what you just said, you know, really the gift of showing up on video is that you become a better speaker. You're more confident in how you speak to people. You're more confident showing up in what you do and your abilities. And that to me is worth everything, to feel confident in what you're doing.
Confidence is key, and it comes with the practice as well.
You know, just like anything, nobody gets there without practice. And, you know, if you're a little nervous, I would say too, practice saying it out loud before you film yourself. So you get the awkwardness of saying it out loud. You get the practice of what those words feel like and sound like. I mean, that goes into public speaking a little bit. But if you're just nervous, it's okay to practice. It's okay to film it a few times and upload it when you're happy with it. Like, I
want to add a point here, because a lot of the pressure comes from the idea that it's going to be online. So if you do a practice where you kind of put yourself into video training mode, so basically you're like, okay, I'm filming myself for like a minute every day. I talk about what happened that day for me. And it's like I'm speaking, think about it, you're speaking on FaceTime with your best friend, right? So the camera is your best friend. You speak to the camera like it's on FaceTime. You share, okay, this is what I did today, blah, blah, blah. You set it on your phone. You do this for a week. So you get used to the camera before you get used to social. This is for your phone. You're not sharing that. And then you go back and you watch it, but you watch it without audio. You only check your body posture and how your body posture make you feel when you're watching yourself back. Because the first thing you're going to hate about yourself is your voice, because we all do. So it's just look at your body posture. Okay, great. Maybe next time I'm not going to be like this anymore. I'm going to try to be a little bit more, you know, the posture is going to be a bit better. Maybe I need to look less on the right. I need to kind of look at the camera. But it's not on social media, it's on your phone. So you can go back and learn from yourself. It's not online. So it takes off the pressure. So it's really good.
Right. Oh gosh, what a hot tip there is when you're talking to your phone, pretend you're talking to one person, not everyone in your community. Like, so if I get on my video and I'm talking, like right now, like in a live, like I am talking to Joseph. I am not talking to the thousands of people that are viewing this, right? I'm just talking to the one person. I think that takes a lot of pressure off. But, you know, Joseph, thank you so much. Gosh, 8 hot, amazing strategies today. So juicy. I want to try some of them. I'm really excited because we want life to be easier. So repurpose. That was a great tip. But anyways, how can people find you if they want to know more?
At Joseph Rebelli, just like that. And I have reason. So at Joseph Rebelli on Instagram, you can find me on LinkedIn. I have a podcast called The Digital Bosses. You can find me there. You can find me on the YouTube with the same name. And it's Joseph Rebelli without any underscore. That's the original, because there is a fake account going on at the moment. I don't know why. So that's the original. And it's like, message me on DM and say, hey, and I will reply to you. I always do. So don't worry.
Oh, and you guys, you're so welcome. Thank you guys for being here. And thank you, Joseph, for sharing all of your amazingness and like just bringing us. This is obviously a very big topic. We talked about this a lot longer than I expected to. Um, so videos, it's important and it's a great way to connect and to help us sell. And you're going to see more of it, I think, in the future as well. So definitely go make sure to follow Joseph. Go check out his account, The Digital Bosses. I know you do some amazing work there as well. And just like Joseph said, we've got collaborations all week with different topics about sales and video. So stay tuned because we're sharing even more with you later this week because this isn't enough. So thank you so much for being here, Joseph. Thank you for everyone else for listening. We appreciate you and
Thank you. Thank
hope
you so
everyone as
much.
well.
Bye.